Welcome to episode 6 of Tech Tuesday. This is part 2 of the Pear Deck review I started in the last episode. There are so many features of Pear Deck, and I want to make sure you know about all of them and not rush through this. So I've decided to stretch this out for one more episode. So we'll finish discussing all of the features in episode 7. This week, I'll focus on the teacher dashboard, student mode, and reviewing student responses. And special guest Kathy Maurer, the physics teacher at MPHS, will talk about how she uses takeaways in her classes. Again, if you feel comfortable with the material I'm covering today, you can skip ahead to the next segment of this episode at the time listed right over here. I'll start right where I left off, having just completed my Pear Deck slides, and am now getting ready to present to my class.
Once you're presenting, you can use the teacher dashboard to allow you to control the entire presentation and see student responses from one place. So on the window where students see the join code, and this one, there's a link down here in the bottom corner that allows you to open up that teacher dashboard. So you would click on that and a new window will pop up. So you'll want to extend your screen and move the window projecting what the students see to the projection side and keep the teacher dashboard hidden on your computer. So let's take a look at the teacher dashboard. On the left side of the screen, it allows you to navigate from slide to slide, so I can move around my slides, or I can use the arrows down here at the bottom. The right side of the screen is where I can view student responses. I can view responses by individual student, by a grid with thumbnail of responses, or by an overlay of responses on top of each other. This last one depends on the question type and may not always be available. You can also filter responses by time, viewing the first responses or the most recent responses down to the later responses, or by student name in alphabetical order. In the grid or individual response view, you can star great examples that you want to project and discuss, or click on the 3 dots to hide inappropriate responses. There's also a clear response or clear star button that will let you go back to viewing all of the responses. You will also notice the icon students picked for the question, "How are you feeling?" and can help you know what mood your students are in. Finally, you have what I consider to be the most significant features on the dashboard. The Show Responses button projects students' anonymous responses. The lock screen has 2 features. First, it will lock students out from responding or changing answers, and second, it's a timer. If I hold down this button, I get options for 30 seconds, 1 minute, or 3 minutes. A timer will appear on both the projected screen and the students' computer screens and will lock responses when it reaches 0. You can also add in on-the-fly questions with the new question button. Ask your question verbally, and students will respond with the response type you chose. The last feature I will cover today is student paced mode. This allows students to work on several slides in your presentation at their own pace. I recommend creating a slide that says stop to let students know where to wait for others to catch up. In the teacher dashboard, click on the 3 dots and select Turn on Student Paced. If I had many other students in this session besides just me, you'd be able to see the number of students in the corner of the slide to see how many students were left working on that slide. Click on the Stop Student Paced icon when finished. You also need to make sure that you end your session before closing out the window so students can't stay in and make changes. Click on the End button in the lower right corner, or click on the three dots and select End this session. While Pear Deck is a great tool for quick assessments during class, you can also review student responses after class is over. For this, you need to go to Pear Deck's website at www.peardeck.com. Go ahead and log in. And when you get to your teacher dashboard, you're going to look to the top left of your home screen and select the Sessions tab. This page houses a list of all of the sessions you have presented. If you do not see it immediately, that is because it was not named when you ended the session. Simply check the Show Archived Sessions box to show unnamed sessions. Find the previous session you completed and click on the icon for the teacher dashboard view. You will be able to see all of your students' responses and have access to the different views to see how your students responded and how individual students are engaging with and grasping the material. I'll continue with the other features in the next episode.
I'm excited to have my first guest of Season 3, Kathy Maurer, the physics teacher at MPHS, talk about how she uses takeaways. Kathy began using the free version of a Pear Deck last year and piloted the subscription version before the school system bought it. So she is quite the expert in using this particular feature. So thank you, Kathy, for recording this.
Hi guys, this is Kathy Maurer. I'm going to be talking a little bit about takeaways that you might be using or that you can use when you are using Pear Deck. First, I'm going to show you how to publish the takeaways, and then I'll show you where they are and what they look like. So first of all, when you're done with a session, I just started a session. It doesn't really matter what it's on. When you click on End the session, you will get a option to save it. You can name the session. I usually name the session with the subject, the block, but you can name it whatever you want. It's just so that you're able to access it more quickly. Once you do that, you would end the session. You would end it with the name. It would publish the takeaways at that point, and then it would revert back to the actual slide deck. So again, that's how to publish the takeaways. If you name it, it will end the session and publish them for you. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to actually want to go into your Google Drive. And if you've saved any takeaways, you should have a folder called Pear Deck. And if you open that, you should have a folder that says takeaways. And within that, it will be whatever Pear Decks you've done. So whatever you've named that Pear Deck, there will be a folder for that one. So the one I was just showing you was force diagrams. So I'll go here, and then you can see that I've done this with block 1, block 2, and this past fall. So as I was saying, fall. Once you open that up, you will see every single student. So there's a blank response one. There's a student, another student, another student. You can see their particular responses. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up Destiny's responses. So you can see a couple of things. Destiny has this same the same document in her Google Drive. You can see who authored it, which is me. You can see when we gave it and what time we gave it. And then there's a lot of tools the students could use. You could have them write a summary about the lesson afterwards, kind of like a wrap up. The students also get access to all of the questions and their answers. And then there's a space for them to take notes. So what you could have them do after the Pear Deck is have them go back in and maybe write the correct answers. for each of these, or maybe have them reminders to themselves, hey, don't forget you forgot to put gravity force, and if it's on Earth, it has gravity. Something of that sort. So they can use that to not only, they can reflect on their responses and maybe where they went wrong and things they need to take a look at. The other thing you can do is, because both of you have access to this document, is you can actually make comments in the document. So if you were to open up a comments thread, you could add a comment somewhere in here, a reminder. You could have a dialogue back and forth with the student about things maybe you noticed. So if they're not putting in the notes that you want, or you pick up on some pattern of errors, you can leave a comment in there for them to see, to go back, and then they can comment back to you, and you can go back and forth this way. I haven't been really good about using the takeaways with the students. That's definitely something I want to get better at doing, having them reflect back on what we did. But it's there, it's a tool to use, especially if you're maybe doing some sort of longer text responses. You can use that comment feature to make some corrections or additions to that. So that's about it for takeaways. Again, you publish them once you end a session in Pear Deck. They should be in a folder called Pear Deck in your Google Drive, in a subfolder called Takeaways. They should be listed by your the name of the Pear Deck, followed by whatever block you called it, followed by the name of the student. I hope this was helpful, at least as an intro to takeaways. If you have any questions, you know where to find me and where to find Darcy and Chris. All right, have a great one.
This episode's App Spotlight focuses on Flipgrid's newest feature that I talked about last time, called Guest Mode.
Okay, so to add guest mode in, you're just going to go to one of your grids and find the topic that you want to share out in guest mode. You'll click on Actions and then go to Topic Guest Mode. And then you'll just click the toggle button to add guest mode or turn guest mode on. And this automatically allows them to start recording. And then you can copy and paste and send out the guest code and email it out. Or you can print out the QR code. This would be great, especially with parent-teacher conference nights coming out. You could have parents record it to a grid for students, or you could even have students record something and then parents can go in and watch it and respond to their students. So guests will receive a unique guest code, and you can decide whether you want guests to just have view-only access or view and respond access. So like I said, when you go into guest mode, it automatically adds allow recording. So you could turn this off and just allow guests to view the videos and not actually record something back. And if you needed to revoke access at any time, you would just go in and simply click on this regenerate code. And so anybody who had that code previously would now no longer have access, as it generated a new code.
I'd love to hear the ways that you come up with using this in your classroom. So make sure to tweet me at MsPriester_ITRT. That's all for this episode. Thanks again to Kathy Maurer for telling us about takeaways, and thanks for watching. You'll catch me on the next episode of Tech Tuesday in 2 weeks.